Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I hope you enjoy, so let's get started. It's time for yet another house project. So let's take a look at trying to put a wall right behind me. So I've had many guests come and stay since I got the place here and turned this little corner into a makeshift bedroom, but I've used this curtain here to close it off, and that has been working well. It gives privacy, most certainly, because it is a blackout curtain. You can't see anything through it. But the problem is that it's not really a structural wall, so if you lay anything against it in that area, it ends up bowing it out, if you have like luggage or something. So it's not really, sturdy. So my idea originally, before I did the curtain thing, was to put up some type of a wall here, kind of like those folding divider things, but you'd still have a gap at the top. So I ended up going with the curtain. It was the best idea at the time because I already had the curtains and I just needed this track, and there we go. Going back to our original idea of putting a wall here, I think that's the best idea. So that is what is going to happen. Now, this isn't going to be a perfect wall. It's still going to be a divider. It's not going to be anything super fancy in terms of, matching the walls and all that. It is going to be a little bit different, kind of like an accent wall type thing. It will be easy to take down. So it's not necessarily, a very permanent fixture, but it will provide nice, privacy for the bedroom here. So the idea that I'm thinking is to cut down on some costs. We'll use some 2x2s because we just need a dividing wall. This isn't structural. This isn't anything super fancy. It's a dividing wall. It's not a fancy wall with electrical and all that kind of stuff in it. We just need some type of divider. So we're going to bring it straight across, flat with this. It's going to come straight across, and then it will have to turn right here in a little bit because that isn't perfectly straight with this. So we'll have a little bit of a curve here, and of course we'll have a board here on the floor. Now I'm not going to do anything with the carpet. I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm not going to screw anything into the carpet or anything into the ceiling. Everything's going to go into the 2x4s that are hidden behind the corners here. So that's structural enough. Again, it's just a dividing wall. It's nothing super fancy. Yes, we'll hang pictures on it and stuff, but that's what the boards in the inside will be, and it'll be, structurally just fine here on the edges. Anyway, that is the bottom and top, and the ceilings here are about 8 feet 1 inches. So if we get 8-foot boards, that should be perfectly fine. And that is the idea. It'll be framed up. We'll get it in here. And now for the wall covering. Now, obviously everybody does drywall. I absolutely do not like drywall. It is the most annoying substance in the world for a building material because you try to do anything with it. Oh, it's made of fiber. Well, not even fiber. It's made of like dust from space or something ridiculous. Who came up with this product? It's terrible. I do not like drywall. So we're going to put up some type of covering. I was originally thinking paneling, kind of like you'd see back in the day, 70s, 80s, that wood paneling stuff. You see it a lot in certain, mobile homes and things. But the designs that I find and colors aren't really what I'm looking for. So speaking with my parents about it, getting some ideas, we decided to go with a bead board, kind of a cottage style looking thing, but having those lines in it will help hide imperfections such as screws and, cut lines and things like that, which are important because if you do drywall, you gotta, paste and mud and all this stuff, and it's ridiculous for what it is. So there is the idea for the wall. I'm gonna draw it up. We'll get our materials and we'll progress from there. I gotta tell you, the hardest part here is trying to make this corner perfectly 90 degrees because obviously that is not, parallel to this or perpendicular or whatever. It's, offset, and it's about 6.5 inches once I kind of do all this stuff. So this is the hardest part, is making this corner look, perfect. We got everything drawn up. Now we just need to go and get it all. We're here at Lowe's Blows Your Nose because they have what I'm looking for. So we got our 2x2s, our 2x4, some molding, and our wall panels here. It's a really big bead board looking thing, but you know what? It'll work. I really don't want to do drywall. And we made it home with everything, so on to more adventures. We got the saw all set up. Yeah, we're just doing it on the floor. I don't really have a better place to do it. And now we'll just start cutting the lumber. It doesn't need very much cut off, so this will be nice. But first, let me look at our measurements. So we need to get our baseboard strips up here. We'll need to get rid of that one and that one temporarily. Once it's done, we'll just, cut out that section and put it back in. But something that we'll have to do is move our power strip here in the corner and eliminate that because, well, the wall's gonna go there. So, let's see, we'll get the all this down and then we'll go from there. I mean, maybe we'll get creative and leave a little hole there for the power strip to go through. It's not the worst idea ever, so I'll think about it. Okay, so there's our base, and we'll do the same measurements and stuff for the top up here. I've taken down all the old hangers and stuff for the curtains. They're over there. So, looks like our measurements are turning out good. Let's continue. So we got our top cut here too, and I just laid it on top of the bottom so that we get the accurate depth, of both those put together. And then I measured from that to the top and added a 1/4 of an inch because we do have the squish of the carpet. And I got 94 inches. Oh, it's perfect. It gives it just the right amount of, stay power. And these end ones will be screwed into the wall, but being able to, get that pressure that I'm looking for too is perfect because that's going to help seal up the bottom and the top and all that kind of stuff. So we're moving along. Let's see, let's do an ultra wide angle lens thing here, and we'll continue making some of these stud things. We got all of our studs cut to 94 inches. So now it's time to go inside. I'm thinking of putting the actual wall together and then putting it in place because we do have the cushion of the carpet. So that'll kind of hold it there as we're putting it together. And by doing it on the floor and then putting it up, it's gonna be way easier. Now I did end up getting a whole bunch of these things. I can use them to put it all together because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to screw in from the ends. I'm gonna try doing that, but I'm still gonna use some of those too. And hopefully with a combination of that, we're gonna make this thing nice and sturdy. Now I do have an extra 2x2 here just because they came in bundles of 4. I know I probably could have taken the bundle apart, but I'll just add it in the corner if I don't use it. But either way, I might cut it and use it as an extra stud and space the spacing a little closer together because up in the rafters here is some foam that was left behind from the previous owner that was in the walls here in the garage. Now, it doesn't fit, in these walls. And the only reason I'm thinking of putting it into the wall that I'm doing now is because 1, it gets it out of here, and 2, it should provide a little bit of sound dampening when everyone's in the room there, having a good time if somebody wants to sleep. So I have it, I might as well put it in there, and well, let's get to putting our wall together. There's the end piece for our little tiny spot here on the end. I wanted to start with that one just to see how my ideas would work out. I decided to put a little piece in the center here because I do have some extra, little chunks laying around, so why not give it a little bit more structural rigidity. So there is our end piece. It's all just screwed in, like toenailed in, well, toenails at an angle, at the bottom and stuff. And it seems to be pretty good for this piece anyway. But we do have those brackets for the bigger part, and that's what we're gonna start to put together now that we've learned some things doing the smaller one. We got the outer part of the frame done, and the ones in the middle there are not screwed in place, they're just sitting there. And I realized that when I counted how many of these inner studs I wanted, I ended up counting the outsides twice. But that's okay, nothing wrong with having some extra lumber around. It can always be used for a project. I have one extra 2x2 out there. This one is very dense. It's a really heavy piece of wood. It's got a lot more rings in it than the others, so I'm gonna save that one for something else. You never know when you might need a nice stronger piece. But I might not need 5 in the middle here either, maybe just 4. So what I'm gonna do before I get too far in putting in the middle section is get down that foam and see what size that is and get some pieces done so we can put them in place. So it's going to be a little overbuilt, but I got them all 1 foot on center just because that's as many as I have. And the foam pieces are cut at 13 inches, so I'm going to cut them down a bit, and that's totally fine. But at least I can remember 1 foot on center if I'm looking for these things in the wall. But I'll also know where they are because there'll be screws holding the paneling on. Either way, I'm happy with this. It's actually 1 foot on center for all of them. The 2x4 compensates for the little bit of extra on the end, so that's awesome. We got all of the little braces on too, as you can see, and I staggered their orientation on the top and bottom to hopefully give it a little bit more rigidity again. Now that we got all that done, it's time to tip this thing into place. It's in place, and let me tell you, that thing is snug. I have to hit it around with a hammer just to get it into place, but it's staying there. This thing is not going anywhere, and I haven't screwed it to anything yet. It's just friction and force holding it in place at the moment. But anyway, we will secure it to the wall and everything. That's what we got right now. Not too shabby. Got it all screwed together and into the other studs in the wall. So we're doing good there. Really happy with this. And this is solid. This thing is not going anywhere. And we got that side into the wall. And what I did is I had a little metal spacer. Well, here it is. I thought it was on the floor. This you might recognize from fixing a floodlight. And it's the exact thickness, 7/32 as the wall panel that'll go on here. So I just use this, hold it up to the wall here to get the right depth so that it looks good when it's all said and done. Now I'm going to focus on cutting some foam. Looks like the last clip I left off with was just the wall and the studs. Well, the 2x2 little tiny, studs. Anyway, so I have since filled in with this foam that I had left over from, I don't know, whatever people left here when they moved out. And I cut it to size. As you can see, it's not perfect. I can't make it perfect. I'd be here all day. I suppose I could fill it in with something. But I do have a panel up right here and a panel on the other side. Now you can see the screws. I have a little touch-up paint thing that I'm planning to put over it, and then they'll blend in nicely. But that goes right over it, and that does seal it up. When I'm on the other side of the wall and listening, the music going on in here, of course I have it off for the video right now for obvious reasons, but you can hear it through here, but not much from this area, so that's good. At least that kind of seals it up, and I can always open it up because it is screws, everything's screws, no nails here, and adjust as needed. So I'm just going around right now and vacuuming and realized that I did not make a clip of any of this. So here is that, and here's the vacuum, and here is the other side, and it definitely has a different acoustic in here with the wall in here. So we have the one piece up, and I'll cut and do the other pieces tomorrow, but I need to vacuum in here. It's another day, and it's time to finish up our wall here, or at least put on the missing panels. Now the issue I have at the moment is thinking about how to cut this stuff, because this is like MDF, I think this is called HDF or something. It's just a bunch of fiber dust and a ton of glue holding it all together. But anyway, we need to cut it. Now, the way that I've done it in the past, because I think this is the same stuff as like pegboard to hang tools on and stuff, is I just score it a bunch with a knife, and eventually you can break it free without having, fluffy edges with this. So I'm going to do a little bit of research online and see what is the best avenue to go down for this. But at the moment, I think I'm just going to do that. It's going to take a while, but I think that's going to be our best solution. So that's the outside here. And if we come in here, there's the inside. So obviously the foam isn't perfect, as I've stated before, but you know what? It's better than in the garbage, and it's better than being in the attic of the garage. So might as well have it add a little bit of, I don't know, something to put in the wall. Anyway, let's turn on the light in here, I guess. And we gotta do the same exact thing in here to finish this up, and then we have some trim to install. The trim will be easy, I think, compared to cutting these big sheets. One panel is all done. Working on the cushioned floor here is good for a couple reasons. It's nice on my knees, and it also provides a soft surface for this material so it doesn't get all scuffed up if it was on the concrete floor. So I originally was doing this using a box cutter and just scoring a line like I've done with some other types of materials like this. But the issue is that that's going to be 500 years before it's done. So I ended up using the jigsaw here with a very fine tooth blade so it minimizes the amount of tearing. And that worked out really well. Followed it while I was doing it with the vacuum to keep it nice and clean. So here is our piece that we need, and then we'll be trimming that one again for the end. So I ended up taking off this panel in the back here so that I could add some supports to the middle of the wall. This definitely helps strengthen it up quite a bit, actually. So I'm glad that I had some extra 2x2s around that I could do this with, because this most certainly gives it more strength than before. I still need to screw it into the ends here, but other than that, they're all in place. And I'm gonna put some strips here for the piece that ends up, just kind of hanging there. It definitely needs something to screw to. I had some pieces there before, but with what I have left over, I'm gonna put it in here. Got all the braces on and everything secured. We also got our little extra strips here. We've used all of our 2x2s, except for some little pieces that were off the ends. But other than that, that's pretty good for efficiency-wise of, purchasing all this stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this foam into its home here. It's gonna have to be cut again, and then we'll finally get the wall back on, and I can't wait to be done with that. It's not nailed into place yet, but we have moved on to trim, so that's good. And gotta cut a piece for this. I just had a little scrap there, but it doesn't fit, so it'll have to come out of that one. Slowly but surely getting there. Boy, I can't wait for this to be done. You can see how this is bowing here. You can push it into place, but that's why I put that board behind it there. I'll use some small nails to kind of go right along the seam there, and that'll hold it nice and tight, because of course you want that seam to be as tight as possible so you do not notice it. But we can add that once we're done with all of the cutting and everything. So I'm still debating in my head if I want to put trim around all this to seal up those gaps, or what I want to do there. I'm really leaning towards trim, because if you do like painter's caulk, I think it would just look terrible. It just wouldn't look good. So I think we're gonna have to do some trim. But that is the wall out here. And it's a lot more structurally sound now with the supports in it. And this is the wall in here. This is the piece to go down here, but I have it up because I need to vacuum. That's the piece for the corner right there. And then I have a piece to go in the corner, but it's not in the room right now. I must have it in the garage to seal up that corner. Now I'm thinking of using a similar style of curved whatever to go along all this, just to finish it off, and doing something with this gap here. Again, you could fill the gap with stuff, it would look terrible. So I'm gonna try to come up with some type of nice trim idea there. Yeah, it's getting real fancied up, but I want it to be looking correct rather than, oh, we kind of gave up halfway and here we are. I'm happy with it. It's coming right along. Yes, I know we see all the screws. We'll be coming back along and covering that up with some little touch-up paint that I have that's about the same color white, and that should work well. Something I didn't mention while cutting the boards for the wall there is I wanted something that would be gentle on the surface, because I'm cutting it from the front and not the back. So I ended up using these strips of, well, it's kind of like a foam paperback sticky thing that is for going on the bottoms of chair feet so it doesn't scratch your hardwood floor. And just cutting some strips here, and that worked perfectly. It didn't scratch a surface and it glided right along it. And now we're at the Home Cheapo because I needed some more of this molding here. The thing that got me is that I'm like, wow, 87 cents for the whole thing. No, that's per linear foot. But either way, we have these really long lengths here. They're like 16 feet long, but they have this little center here that you can cut them. So I just cut them all to 8 foot. That's exactly what I need. And there it is. So I guess we'll continue on. Still not completed. We still have the trim pieces to do that I just picked up at the Home Cheapo. But As I'm sitting here just relaxing a little bit because I'm tired of being on my knees doing all this baloney, I'm thinking about what I want to put here on this new wall. And one of the things that I do want to put here is a duplication of a shelf of some sort. I think that'd be pretty cool. On the wall there, it kind of matches the other side, makes it a little bit more symmetrical. And in doing so, I'm not sure if I will put one just there in the center of your screen, or also put one there on that wall. We'll have to see. I'm also playing around in my head, more importantly, naturally, at figuring out what kind of lighting I want to have on it, because it is hard to find the Lightolier light trim anymore. All the stuff that I have found has been out of pure luck, really. There are some 28-inch kits on eBay right now, but it's just the track. It doesn't come with anything else. It does come with the power lead and all that kind of stuff naturally. But 28 inches, that's a weird size, first of all. And I would have to put them together to try to make a 6-foot distance. And that would be a little long. I do have some 15-inch ones. Maybe I could match it with that. They're the same finish. Either way, I don't think I'll go with that. I have to find connectors and things I just don't have. And they just don't make anymore for the specific kind. Now, these up here, well, if I could get this to do anything, there we go. This one has a connector right in the middle there, and that allows the two 4-foot sections to come together. Of course, if they made just a 6-foot section, which I'm sure they did in the catalog, you know, that would be perfect for this. Now, I do have the one in the window there. That one's a 3-foot section, but that's still short than 6 feet, so that's not going to work either. So, a lot of fun thinking here. The other stuff that we got to think about is, how are we going to power these lights that I want to have up there? Well, there's a couple different options I've been playing with in my head, and the one that I think I'm going to go with is branching power off of this outlet down here, putting one of those surface mount boxes on it, and bringing the power into this wall thing here. Now, I cut out a hole there in the bottom. You can see some of the remnants of doing so behind the trim. So once you put up the trim there, you don't see the hole, just to see what was in this thing. And sure enough, there's a pipe in there, but the pipe's probably at least 2 inches in diameter, and that's it. So it's really just a whole bunch of nothing in there. The interesting thing is the sides are made of plywood, and the front here is drywall. Now, there's drywall on the outside here, but from looking at the inside, there's some type of plywood or something on the sides. Really bizarre. I'm not sure what they were trying to go for here, other than, you know, covering up the pipe in the wall, which I guess they could have done in a smaller sense than this big bump out here, but whatever, it's here now. And with it being hollow in the inside and nothing other than cobwebs on that pipe, I could bring the wire over, and in the inside here, we keep going back and forth a lot, don't we? We can put an outlet in this corner, which would be perfect for the table here, instead of having to bring it over from this outlet, because there's one there and there. But it'd be nice to have one over here, you know, for whatever I decide to put in here. It's a very small room, you know, it's good for guests. It's not huge though, so you have to be really cautious on what you put in here and thoughtful, because it has to be very functional and not in the way. So I'm thinking, you know, if we had that outlet there, great. Maybe we can get a little bit of a stand or something with just a traditional lamp on it. I think that would look great. And then obviously we'd have our outlet, some places to put suitcases and stuff, and I think we'll be good. Like I said, we still have some trim to do here, but it's nice. We have some light coming in the window. You can see the ferns outside that are growing underneath the deck. I try to encourage them to do that by getting rid of these weeds, like that thing there I need to get rid of. And they'll just keep on growing, which is great. I'd rather have the ferns than the weeds, and that'll look nice out the window here. So it's all slowly coming together. What am I going to put on the wall in here? Well, I picked up this picture of the waterfront of Seattle. I like picking up pictures like this on, well, online, on, you know, trips to the thrift store, I should say. This one's the lakefront there. If you look closely, you can see the viaduct is still there, so that kind of dates it a little bit. But I think it would look good on this wall. Gives you a little bit of something to look at while you're laying in bed. We do have some other cityscape pictures here and stuff, but I think it'll complete it nicely for any guests that come by and visit. So, a lot of thinking. I'm going to try to go as traditional and simple as possible in here because I feel like I like that vibe for this room. We do have an intake vent. Looks like the filter is in backwards, but other than that, that brings air into the system. There's no air vent in here though, but there is a little bit of a gap at the bottom of the door. And in the hallway here is the venting. So I don't know if I'd be able to put one in here or just this making negative air pressure will bring it in anyway. I don't know. But yeah, there it is. And there's my ramblings of what we're going to do next. It's yet another day, I don't know, 3 in actually constructing the thing, 4 in all together. But this day it's after work on a Monday, and we're doing some of the trim pieces. This one's got a fancy end on it here. And, well, you might see another hose here, and where in the world is that going? Well, I have found a tool at work that probably hasn't been used in eons. It's this little nailer. This thing is perfect. It has the perfect little like brads or whatever you want to call those little nails in there. And they are exactly what I need to do this trim. And I was originally going to do what you see here, drill a little hole and put in some little nails. But this is so much easier to do. And as you can see, minimal of anything there. Beautiful, super happy with how this is turning out. And it's so much faster too. So we're doing the one piece in the corner here. I got this corner piece in and nailed up. These bottom ones here are just sitting in place. I got this wooden piece here to seal up the gap, and again used the nailer for that. It worked out perfectly. Again, yeah, it's a different color and everything. We're just gonna live with that, ain't that something? And we got our piece of trim here at the top. There is some dark spots just from handling it, but nothing a magic eraser will not fix. And nothing a coat of paint won't fix either. Some of the screws are showing through. Don't worry, I have a solution for that. But I'm currently doing this piece up here, and I'm gonna fit it in place and mark where it needs to be cut, and we're on the way to continuing. You may also see there's a gap here, and I'm sure that's partially just from my cutting skills not being perfect, but also the fact that I don't think this wall is perfect either, because it fits right here and it gets snug. So, but you know, if you're over here in the room, and you're not going to get like that super close anyway, I'm just going to let it be for right now. I'm not going to put some trim in there. That seems a little excessive. Then we're going to end up with 500 different pieces of trim, and we're going to end up looking like a ridiculous house. And I'm not going to look like a ridiculous house. But we're going to continue on with this trim here as a bead of sweat rolls down my forehead. And just like that, we are done. Well, for the most part anyway. We certainly have some little touch-up to do here and there, but all the trim is done. Thank the Lord. And last but not least, we have all of our little pieces to clean up. I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Leave a like down below and a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. Of course, check out the other videos here on the screen. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.